Kitchen under the auspices of the President of the Thai Red Cross Society to produce meals for people impacted by COVID-19 in Nakhon Sawan. Assistant Secretary General of the Thai Red Cross Society, Kristada Munrat, shared the opening of the Royal Kitchen at Prachapat Nakhon Sawan University in Nakhon Sawan Province and presided over the preparation of 3,787 meals for residents of Nakhon Sawan's capital district and Lat Yao district. Her Royal Highness Princess Mahaja Krisirinthar ordered the establishment of the kitchen in light of her concern and care for those impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. The kitchen was ordered to operate until June 6th to supply meals to various residents of Nakhon Sawan. Meanwhile, the Thai Red Cross Society is inviting all to donate funds to the Plantai 99 Baht Overcoming COVID-19 project, which is providing aid to quarantined individuals, the elderly, and the vulnerable. Donations can be used for a tax deduction of twice the value. More information can be acquired by calling 1664.
National News.
In national news, proactive screening for COVID-19 infections has continued throughout the nation, with particular focus on labor sites inhabited by migrant workers. Region 5 police in Chiang Mai have joined forces with administrative officials to conduct a raid on a construction workers camp in Han Dong district, Chiang Mai province, suspecting the presence of illegal migrants among some 300 people in the camp. The authorities discovered one illegal laborer, found another using illegal narcotics, and seized 2 unregistered motorcycles. Temperature screenings found 7 people with a temperature over 37.5 degrees Celsius, who were then submitted for COVID-19 testing. Deputy Commander of Region 5 Police Investigative Division, Police Colonel Warapong Thang Lu, explained that the proactive raid followed the discovery of 81 illegal laborers from Myanmar in Chiang Mai's Omgoi district. Meanwhile, personnel of Region 9 Police in Yala have reported for their first dose of Sinovac COVID-19 vaccine at Yala Siri Ratanarak Hospital after it received an allocation of 3,200 doses and launched an effort to administer 500 jabs a day. No ill side effects were noted among the recipients, with only a few reporting some dizziness after having not eaten before their jab.
The Center for COVID-19 Situation Administration, or CCSA, has reported 5,485 new cases of COVID-19, with 19 new fatalities. According to the CCSA's latest report, the national tally stands at 159,792 cases and 937 deaths. The report also indicated that another 3,101 patients have made full recoveries, with 50,416 still hospitalized. For the full breakdown, follow the official CCSA's Twitter handle @COVID-19 Thailand. Meanwhile, the Department of Disease Control is aiming to prioritize the distribution of COVID-19 vaccine in Bangkok during the national inoculation drive. The DC Director General Opad Kanpipinpong said the distribution of vaccine for the provinces will vary depending on the spread of infections in each area. Vaccine registration for people living in the provinces will open on June 14th via local hospitals, the respective mobile application for each province, and health volunteers. The Director General also reaffirms that the ADC is still committed to having at least 70% of the national population receive their first shots by the next 3 months.
Chonburi Province is preparing to open some 40 vaccination centers in the hope of achieving herd immunity and restarting tourism businesses. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Public Health Anutin Chanvirakul, accompanied by Deputy Minister of Public Health Saathit Pitutecha, has inspected a vaccination center at Thailand National Sports University's Chonburi campus. The vaccination center is located at a field hospital inside the campus and will join some 40 vaccination centers both in and outside of hospitals to provide COVID-19 jabs to Chonburi residents. Chonburi's largest vaccination center at Pattaya's indoor stadium in Banlamung district can vaccinate up to 5,000 people a day at full capacity. The second largest venue at Mueang Batsuang, municipality's community hall in the capital district of Chonburi, can give as many as 3,000 jabs a day. Chonburi Province is hoping to vaccinate as many people as possible in order to achieve herd immunity, which is crucial to the restart of local tourism businesses. The eastern seaside province has administered at least 110,528 doses of COVID-19 vaccines to locals.
Administrative and security forces along the border with Malaysia have imposed
Pani
stringent security measures to prevent illegal entry in response to concerns over COVID-19 variants. More frequent patrols and surveillance are being implemented by Thai authorities on the Thailand-Malaysia border in the southern region.
ยุติ
After
ธรรม
cases of COVID-19 variants
อัน
were
ส
first
ด
detected in
ใส
South Africa was found in the province. These
ถึ
actions are made
งต
to
อน
spread from
ทุ
endemic
ก
locations to the
ข์ทรมานนั้นเท่าใด ยังมั่นใจรักชาติคงอาจครันโลกมนุษย์ย่อมจะดีกว่านี้แน่เพราะมีไม่ยอมแพ้แม้ถูกยันคงเห็นชัด
Several shopping malls in Thailand have offered space for the setting up of vaccination centers for the benefit of the public. One of these venues in Bangkok is Asia Teak, the riverfront, which is now offering jabs at a limited capacity ahead of the national vaccination drive. People who had an advanced vaccination appointment have visited Asia Teak, an open-air shopping mall by Chao Phraya River in Bangkok, to get their shot of the COVID-19 vaccine. Asia Teak is among 25 venues in Bangkok provided by private companies as non-hospital vaccination centers to be used in the vaccination drive for people aged 18 to 59 years old. The vaccination of senior citizens and people with certain chronic diseases will follow the same schedule, but mainly at hospitals. The vaccination center at Asia Teak has the capacity to vaccinate 2,000 people per day. It's currently offering the vaccine to some groups of people in Ban Khaw Lam district, such as the public vehicle drivers, taxi drivers, fare collectors, janitors, motorcycle taxi drivers, food delivery drivers, caretakers, nursery staff, educational staff, volunteers, and other individuals at risk.
The Bangkok Metropolitan Administration, or BMA, is currently increasing the water draining capability of the storm drain system along Bangkok's main roads by installing larger drainage pipes. Bangkok Governor Police General Aswin Panmueang is overseeing a construction project intended to increase the water dispersal efficiency of drains on Sathon Road. The construction of a better drainage system is also intended to fix the inundation problem on Jan Road, one of the 12 main roads at risk of flooding when heavy rain falls. Construction is underway to install a large drainage pipeline to accelerate water drainage from the roadway into a nearby canal. Besides the main drainage system, 65% of the targeted water pumps and water holding wells have been installed, and improvement has been made to roads and pavements. The drainage line construction project is due to be finished in July. In addition, the BMA's Department of Drainage and Sewage still has plans to install pumping stations on Jan Road connecting to Changnonsi Canal using fiscal year 2022's budgets. The VMA's Public Works Department will also be working to relocate power lines underground, while also fixing pavements, waterways, and road surfaces to facilitate water drainage.
Those were our national stories. Up next in global news. Nigerian officials say an armed gang abducts students from an Islamic school in the north-central state of Niger over the weekend, while South Africa extends its nightly curfew and limits the number of people at gatherings to slow the spread of COVID-19 as cases surge.
Today, 4 provinces is how far a doctor has to be away from his family. 3 districts is where kids and mom are living apart. 2 meters is the distance between family. The more we care, the further we need to distance ourselves. PTT thanks for every meter you are staying away from the ones you care. Soon, we'll be together again. PTT, we fight together.
The world of oil was completely changed by a technological breakthrough in the United States. Drilling oil from conventional resources such as sandstone and limestone has for most of history been done through vertical or horizontal drilling, using drills and drilling mud, a highly viscous mud that cools and lubricates the process, maintains pressure in the well, and collects cutting scraps for disposal. A key change took place when the U.S. invented a method to extract oil from shale, an unconventional resource, using a high-pressure mix of water, chemicals, and sand, a process called hydraulic fracturing. The advancement unlocked the country's large shale oil reservoirs and turned it from a top importer to the world's #1 exporter of oil in the year 2018, surpassing even Saudi Arabia and Russia. It even necessitated OPEC control oil production to keep the resource under $100 per barrel, or risk the U.S. capitalizing on demand for shale oil to seize market share. Brought to you by Prism PTT Group Synergy Platform. PTT, sustainable growth for all.
Resplendent rays of sunlight up today, the day we celebrate your birthday. Radiant queen to the backdrop of green fields, purple orchids, our joy further celebration sealed. For you, born to such high royal esteem, combined grace and bravery are the tinges of your gleam. As you live in service to our king and to his reign, jointly vowing to your subjects gifts of great acclaim, transforming their lives ne'er to be the same. Projects in agriculture, art, and medicine you oversee so life does not decline, but increase under the warmth of endowed benevolent sunshine. Thus this on your grand birthday, loyally, our songs of thanks and blessings come your way. Glenn Chatelier for Radio Thailand.
Global News.
You are listening to Radio Thailand's News Hour. We broadcast live from FM 88, FM 95.5, FM 107, and online at nbt.prd.go.th. Turning to our global headlines. Danish state broadcaster DR has reported that the U.S. National Security Agency, or NSA, has used a partnership with Denmark's Foreign Intelligence Unit to spy on senior officials of neighboring countries, including German Chancellor Angela Merkel. DR, citing 9 unnamed sources with access to the investigation, said the findings are the result of an internal investigation in the Danish Defense Intelligence Service from 2015 into NSA's role in the partnership. According to the investigation, which covered 2012 and 2014, the NSA used Danish information cables to spy on senior officials in Sweden, Norway, France, and Germany, including former German Foreign Minister Frank-Walter Steinmeier and former German opposition leader Geert Steinbrück. When asked for comment on the DR report, a spokesperson for the German Chancellor said it was only aware of the allegations when asked about them by journalists and declined to comment further. Denmark, a close ally of the United States, hosts several key landing stations for subsea internet cables to and from Sweden, Norway, Germany, the Netherlands, and the UK. According to DR, the internal investigation in the Danish Defense Intelligence Service was launched in 2014, following concerns about Edward Snowden's leaks in the previous year, revealing how the NSA works.
Police and state government officials in Nigeria have said an armed gang abducted students from an Islamic school in the north and central Nigerian states of Niger over the weekend. Armed groups carrying out kidnapping for ransom have been blamed for a series of raids on schools and universities in northern Nigeria in recent months, abducting more than 700 students for ransom since December. A spokesperson for Nigeria State Police said in statement that the gunmen on motorcycles attacked the town of Tagina in the Rafi local government area of the state on Sunday. He said the attackers were shooting indiscriminately and abducted a yet-to-be-ascertained number of children at Salihu Tango Islamic School. The school's owner, Abu Bakar Tagina, told Reuters in a phone interview that he witnessed the attack. Tagina said there are around 300 pupils aged between 7 and 15, and that the pupils live at home and only attend classes at the site. Most students kidnapped in recent months have been taken from boarding schools. The state governor's spokesperson said one person was shot dead during the attack and the second person was seriously injured.
South Africa has extended its nightly curfew and limited the number of people at gatherings to slow the spread of COVID-19 as positive cases surge. President Cyril Ramaphosa said the level 2 lockdown restrictions force non-essential establishments like restaurants, bars, and fitness centers to close by 10 p.m. local time, but the curfew will now start at 11 p.m. and end at 4 a.m. All gatherings will be limited to a maximum of 100 people indoors from 250 and 250 people outdoors from 500. Where the venue is too small to accommodate these numbers, no more than 50% of its capacity may be used. Ramaphosa said that according to the country's health experts, the recent surge in new infections is due to the increasing number of social gatherings, where people are not observing essential health protocols. Funerals and so-called after-tears parties, as well as camps and sporting activities at school, have also been identified as other sites of increased transmission. Ramaphosa said the Ministerial Advisory Committee on COVID-19 has therefore recommended that the country urgently implement further restrictions to limit the increase in infections. He also said the provinces of Free State, Northern Cape, Northwest, and Gauteng, which houses Johannesburg, have reached the threshold of a third wave of infections and may only be a matter of time before the country as a whole will have entered a third wave.
North Korea has criticized the recent termination of a pact between the United States and South Korea that capped the development of South Korea's ballistic missiles, calling it a sign of Washington's shameful double-dealing. South Korean President Moon Jae-in announced the abolishment of the Joint Missile Guidelines that had limited the country's development of ballistic missiles to a range of 800 kilometers following his first summit with U.S. President Joe Biden earlier this month. North Korea's official KCNA news agency carried an article by Kim Myung-sho, who it described as an international affairs critic, to accuse the United States of applying a double standard as a facade to ban Pyongyang from developing ballistic missiles. Kim said the United States is engrossed in confrontation despite lip service dialogue. He added that North Korea's target is the United States, South Korea's military, and it will counter Washington on the principle of strength for strength. Kim also criticized Moon for welcoming the termination of the guidelines, calling it disgusting and indecent. Kim said the U.S. and the South Korean authorities have made clear their ambition of aggressions, adding that they are left with no reason whatsoever to fault the North for bolstering its capabilities for self-defense.
Hundreds of people have been evacuated, and many more face the risk of abandoning their homes in New Zealand's Canterbury region, as heavy rains raise water levels and cause widespread flooding. Local media reports said on Monday that at least 300 homes in Canterbury were evacuated since the weekend, as water levels rose in rivers across the region in a 1-in-100-year deluge. Several highways, schools, and offices were closed, and New Zealand's defense forces deployed helicopters to rescue some people stranded in floods in the Ashburton area. Ashburton's mayor, Neil Brown, said half of Ashburton would need to be evacuated if the river's levees broke, but there was still quite a bit of capacity in the river. New Zealand's Met Service had issued a red warning on Sunday for heavy rain for Canterbury and multiple warnings elsewhere. Chris Fafoy, the acting Minister for Emergency Management, said in a statement that the government announced 100,000 New Zealand dollars or $72,500 US dollars towards a mayoral relief fund to support Canterbury communities impacted by the flooding. The acting minister also noted that while it was still too early to know the full cost of the damage, it is nevertheless expected to be significant.
Spain's Environment Ministry has said the Iberian lynx population in Portugal and Spain rose above 1,000 last year, after 414,100 joined breeding program in a major leap towards conserving the endangered species. The initiative was launched in 2002 when the number of Iberian lynx, a wildcat native to the Iberian Peninsula, plunged to just 94 in Spain and none in Portugal due to farming, poaching, and road accidents. By the end of last year, there were 1,111 Iberian lynx living in the wild in the region, including 239 breeding females. The ministry said the number was a record high since monitoring of the species began. The ministry added that with a 30% increase from 2019, the demographic curve allows for optimism in drawing scenarios that distance the big Iberian feline from critical risk of extinction. In 2015, the International Union for Conservation of Nature downgraded the threat level for the Iberian lynx, a spotted nocturnal wildcat distinguished by its beard and ear tufts, to endangered from critically endangered. The ministry said the change was possible thanks to the ongoing conservation efforts.
Australia's second most populous state of Victoria, the epicenter of the country's latest coronavirus hotspot, has reported 5 new cases of community transmission, taking the current cluster to 45. Victoria went into strict 7-day lockdown on Friday after new COVID-19 infections in the state capital, Melbourne, ended its 3-month run of 0 community cases. These swelling numbers, particularly a mystery case of worker at an aged care home in the city, have raised questions over whether the lockdown will be extended beyond the 7 days facility have now tested positive. The prospect of a larger outbreak in aged care homes is highly concerning, given hundreds of elderly Victorians in such facilities died of COVID-19 last year. The latest outbreak was caused by a returning resident who left hotel quarantine in neighboring South Australia state after testing negative, but later tested positive in Melbourne. Medical officials have said that the latest COVID-19 variant, first detected in India, was likely to be more virulent than the original strains, taking just 1 day to infect another person, compared with earlier strains, which can take about 5 or 6.
And that's it for the global segment. Next on our business updates. Songkhla provincial authorities resolved to test all international cargo drivers who cross the Sadao and Padang Besa border crossings. While tire manufacturer Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company is reportedly facing accusations of unpaid wages, unlawful overtime, and threats to workers in Malaysia.
If you're looking for safety, see it in the all-new Subaru Forester with EyeSight technology. A major component of Subaru's advanced driver assist technology, the all-new Subaru Forester's EyeSight technology provides drivers an extra pair of eyes on the road with 2-color front-facing optical cameras that give a complete view of surroundings and that constantly scan for hidden dangers. Looking ahead, measuring distance from objects, and providing an alert at the first sign of danger, these eyes even apply brake force to mitigate collision. With a total of 5 highlight functions, EyeSight technology performs adaptive cruise control, pre-collision braking, pre-collision throttle management, lane departure and lane sway warning, and lead vehicle start alert. See greater safety for yourself and enjoy special promotional offers only for this May of 0.99% interest for 64 months when making a 30% down payment and free first-class insurance. Contact your nearest Subaru dealer for all the details today.
Stop COVID-19. Information is very important in the fight against COVID-19. Listen to the World Health Organization and official guidelines from the government only, and beware stories circulating on social media that may be untrue. It is essential you follow advice given by your healthcare provider and follow measures being taken by your organization or living compound to protect yourself and others. You can help stop the spread of COVID-19.
Business news.
In business headlines, the Ministry of Commerce has reached an understanding with food delivery platforms to reduce daily living costs for the public by cutting the platform's share of gross profit with eateries to 25%. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Commerce, Jokrin Laksana Wisip, met with representatives of food delivery platforms, restaurant industry associations, and 6 financial institutions to agree on 2 initiatives to support food businesses straining under the efforts of COVID-19. Under the first initiative, the delivery platforms agreed to reduce their gross profit, or GP, charge on restaurants from the usual 25 to 35% to 25% throughout the month of June in Greater Bangkok, while food prices will be cut elsewhere in the country. Participating platforms include Robinhood, Foodpanda, Grab, Gojek, and Line. This scheme is expected to result in a loss of 250 to 350 million baht for food delivery platforms, but the discount activity is expected to stimulate the economy by no less than 2 billion baht. The ministry is also to facilitate matching between eateries and banks during June 7th and 20th. The move will enable food businesses to secure soft loans without the need for collateral. Over 150,000 food outlets registered with the Department of Business Development are eligible for the loan. Of the total, 15,000 are existing entities, while over 100,000 have individual owners.
Songkhla Vice Governor Waranat Ron has presided over a meeting on COVID-19 testing requirements for international cargo drivers who cross the Sadao and Padang Besa border crossings. In a meeting, provincial officials agreed to carry out tests for international cargo drivers from 9:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. A testing fee of 500 baht will be applied to Thai nationals, whereas a fee of 1,000 baht will be applicable for non-Thai drivers. Officials in Songkhla province have been testing cargo drivers at border crossings since earlier in the year, with the figures in April showing a Malaysian driver being the only positive case.
We've now reached the half-hour mark on Radio Thailand's News Hour. It's time for us to bid farewell to our friends on FM 95.5 and FM 107. As for our listeners on FM 88, we'll continue with more of the latest news.
company illegally kept his passport, showing Reuters an acknowledgement letter that he signed in January 2020 upon getting it back 8 years after he started working at Goodyear. The allegations initially surfaced when 185 foreign workers filed 2 complaints against Goodyear Malaysia in the country's industrial court, 2 in 2019 and 1 in 2020, over non-compliance with a collective labor agreement. The workers alleged that the company was not giving them shift allowances, annual bonuses, and pay increases, even though these benefits were available to the local staff who were represented by a labor union. According to copies of the judgment published on the court's website, the court ruled in favor of the farm workers in 2 of the cases last year, saying they were entitled to the same rights as Malaysian employees.
Colonial Pipeline, the largest fuel pipeline in the United States, has resolved a temporary network disruption. This weeks after a ransomware attack crippled fuel delivery for several days in the southern region. Colonial on Friday said it experienced a network issue, but restored service to its network while adding that the issue was not associated with malware. The company had earlier said shippers were having problems entering and updating nominations for deliveries. The company has since said, quote unquote, system functionality has returned to normal. The reason for the network issues was not immediately clear. Colonial's shipping nomination system is operated by a third party, privately held transport board, T4, which handles similar logistics for other pipeline companies. T4 on Friday said its application was working for all customers and carriers. It did not comment on Colonial's current network issue. That data between T4 and Colonial was working normally. Friday's network problems are the second occurrence of such issues since the attack earlier in the month. Colonial is the largest fuel system in the United States, accounting for millions of barrels of daily deliveries to the U.S. East Coast and Southeast.
China's factory activity slowed slightly in May as high raw material costs and supply bottlenecks continued to weigh on industrial production, particularly for small and export-oriented firms. Data from the National Bureau of Statistics, or NBS, showed on Monday the official Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index, or PMI, inched lower to 51 in May from 51.1 in April, but remained above the 50-point mark that separates growth from contraction. Analysts had expected a PMI reading of 51.1 in May. While the Chinese economy has largely shaken off the gloom from the COVID-19 pandemic, posting a record 18.3% growth in the first quarter of this year, analysts expect the brisk expansion to moderate later this year. Officials warn that the foundations for the economic recovery are not yet secure amid problems like higher raw material costs and the epidemic situation overseas. In April, both output and profit of China's industrial firms grew at a slower pace. The official PMI, which largely focuses on big and state-owned firms, showed the sub-index for new export orders stood at 48.3 in May, down from 50.4 in the contraction.
Recent decisions by phasing out competition in the country's high-tech industry, according to making it even harder to bring down and internet service. For years, consumers have complained about which rank among the steepest in the world. And Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's federal government has threatened to take action if the providers failed to cut bills by 25%. Last Thursday, the Television and Telecommunications Commission, the RTC, ruled that it would not significantly lower the rate which small companies must pay to access the high-speed broadband networks of the larger rivals, BC Corporation and Rogers Communications as the big three. That follows the CRTC ruling when it asked large telecoms to access the so-called mobile virtual network operators, MVNOs, smaller outfits that can then resell the capacity at reduced retail prices on the savings of customers, but with the stipulations that were seen as wins for big companies.
Workers at the Nissan plant in southern India have reportedly chosen to stay home for coronavirus-related safety concerns. Ford and Hyundai have also shut plants in the south over the last week following protests over COVID safety concerns. The Renault-Nissan India Workers Union said in a letter sent late on Sunday that it will not be secure for workers to report to work on Monday, the 31st of May, 2021. 2 sources said the union would continue to discuss its demands this week. Labor unions say hundreds of workers near Chennai have fallen ill with COVID-19 and dozens have died this year. On Sunday, union leaders told Renault-Nissan that its demands on adequate social distancing measures, rehabilitation of families of deceased workers, and on medical treatment of those affected by COVID-19 had not been met. The union also said Renault-Nissan had only vaccinated 200 workers with the first dose. The company told a report last week that the plant had a workforce of more than 8,000. Nissan, which owns a majority stake in the plant, did not immediately respond to an email seeking comment. The company said last week that it had vaccinated employees over 45 years and was willing to inoculate those under 45.
And those were our business news. Up next, headlines.
Radio Thailand's news broadcast from the Public Relations Department of the Royal Thai Government on FM 95.5. For advertising inquiries, please email us at Radio Thailand. A world-leading tourism destination and exporter of an array of goods, industries to its economic spectrum, with infrastructure to make it a production powerhouse and an important logistical hub in Southeast Asia. Foreseeing economic growth returning this year, and with unceasing government support for business, Thailand's economic potential is well proven and a wellspring of opportunity for public and private endeavors alike.